Did you know? The titular turn-based strategy series Heroes of Might and Magic has many hidden secrets and Easter eggs. Most cheat codes for the third game in the series, Restoration of Arathia, reference details from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Similar references exist in the game's 2 expansion packs, Armageddon's Blade and The Shadow of Death. The cheat codes in these expansions reference Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and The Matrix. There's also a cheat code in Heroes 2 that reveals the whole map. The code for the cheat is 8675309, a reference to the popular 80s song 8675309/Jenny by Tommy Two-Tone. You can use this cheat to help find another Easter egg in the last scenario of Roland's campaign. Revealing the map north of Archibald's castle, the player can find a warlock named Mr. Ed who has an army of centaurs. This is likely a reference to the 1960s TV series Mr. Ed, which featured a talking horse. The character Mongo from Heroes 4 gets his name from the 1974 Mel Brooks movie Blazing Saddles. This makes some sense, as Mongo in Blazing Saddles is a strong, violent oaf, and the Mongo in Heroes belongs to the Barbarian class. Heroes 5 also references the Final Fantasy series. The game's stone gargoyles resemble the Epitaph enemies from Final Fantasy IX. In the upcoming Might and Magic Heroes VII, the names of the campaign maps are all references to some form of popular media. One example are the Haven campaign maps, which all reference Sir Walter Scott's novel Ivanhoe. The names of the Stronghold campaign maps are also references to Stanley Kubrick's film Spartacus. And the names of the Necropolis campaign maps are taken from theoretical physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer's speeches. Several aspects of the game are also throwbacks to earlier titles in the series. The free city of Hammerfall, featured prominently in the Haven campaign, is taken directly from the setting of the cancelled game Might and Magic Raiders. Many references in older Heroes games are actually nods to the developers themselves. In Heroes 3, Sir Mullich was named after the game's director, David Mullich. David told AcidCave.net, "When I returned from paternity leave, I found that the team had taken an image of me used for a town elder in one of the Might and Magic RPG games and put me into Heroes 3 as Sir Mullich. They also put in my assistant director, Christian Vanover, as the Knight Christian." In the Armageddon's Blade expansion, the Elementalist in Taves is based on concept artist George Alman, and the Ranger Gelu is based on animator Adam McCarthy. One reference was cut from Heroes 3 entirely. The game's developers, New World Computing, planned to include a joke creature called Lobstrosity. The monster would have been part of an Easter egg triggered by entering a cheat code. The name Lobstrosity is a reference to Stephen King's The Dark Tower series of novels, where bizarre creatures called Lobstrosities live on the beaches. This wasn't the biggest piece of content cut from Heroes 3. The team actually scrapped an entire technology-oriented faction from Armageddon's Blade called Heavenly Forge. Heavenly Forge would have continued the series' tradition of including both sci-fi and high fantasy elements. The faction was showcased at E3 1999, and Forge concept art found its way to GameSpot and several fan sites. The response was surprising to the developers, as fans hated the idea of including a tech-oriented faction. Fans felt that the series was more based in fantasy than sci-fi, and Forge challenged their view of the franchise. One particular piece of concept art, which was published without the team's consent, caused controversy. Some argued that the topless Naga tank was distasteful and gratuitous. A week after the concept art circulated online, GameSpot's Michael Mullen interviewed Heroes 3 designer Gregory Fulton. Fulton revealed that Forge was cut from Armageddon's Blade in response to a fan demand. A different faction emerged in its place called Elemental Conflux, which had actually been on the drawing board for a second expansion pack. Developers apparently received less than 100 emails requesting the removal of Forge from Armageddon's Blade, but at least one email was a death threat. Fulton was so riled up by the threat that he actually quit his job. The design responsibilities for future Heroes games was passed on to Heroes 3 AI programmer Gus Smedstad. The franchise has fallen on hard times more than once. In mid-2003, the 3DO company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. New World Computing was part of the 3DO company, so the future of the entire Might and Magic franchise was up in the air. In August 2003, Ubisoft acquired the rights to Might and Magic for $1.3 million and announced plans to develop a 5th Heroes game. But before Ubisoft purchased the franchise, a 5th Heroes game was already being developed. This game was being made on the Heroes of Might and Magic 4 engine by New World Computing and was completely 2D. It would have also tried to restructure the series to focus more on strategy than quests. The game would have had a spell system similar to the Rune Magic and War Cries in Ubisoft's final release of Heroes 5. There was also going to be a random map generator, and towns would have expanded through upgrades. Ubisoft gained access to New World Computing's assets and documents for the game, but instead of continuing work on the existing project, Ubisoft decided to throw away the old assets and begin anew. They reworked some of the concepts New World Computing planned to implement, but for the most part it was a completely new game using a new 3D engine. Before you go, we'd like you to vote on what you want to see covered in the future, a video on Chrono Trigger or a video on the Mario RPGs. You can also vote by leaving a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more facts and trivia. My name is Todd of Rated S Games, and if you want to see a discussion on the item hunts at the end of The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker and Metroid Prime at the same time, then definitely watch this video that I made. It is exactly about that. But if you don't, then that's okay. Thanks anyway though.